Welcome to this class. In this session we're going to talk about the geographically based structure that may be applied within businesses. You'll find that the material is relatively straightforward and not as challenging perhaps as some of the other areas when we look at structure. Nonetheless, let's see what it looks like. So this type of structure occurs when organizations have to perform their business transactions on a regional or international basis. I suppose the word geographically is a giveaway in this context. It suggests that the business is going to operate either regionally or internationally. The structure is very similar to the product-based structure, but in this case the departments are grouped according to location. So because of the spatial aspect involved in this type of structure, departments or divisions which perhaps up to now we would consider to be in close proximity may in fact be separated out and in different countries even. So a structure, an organizational structure, may look something similar to that. You could have a board of directors and some production facility or distribution facility, whatever it is, in say America, one in Europe or in Asia Pacific. So it's essentially taking the organization and perhaps replicating it, placing an identical or a near identical entity in a different location. Of course, we can break this down further according to how many there are going to be in the different areas. America could be broken down to New York and Texas, for example, and Europe down to England, Germany, France, whatever. So we can imagine the structure being separated out, and we could break those down even further. Say within England you could have Birmingham, London, Manchester, and so on. So this is the basis on which the structure rests. Now let's look at the advantages of this. Well, there's a better focus in communications on the local consumer needs. So the organization becomes identified with the local area. A good example of this would be Sony. Started in Japan, but it's now truly a global brand, and Sony Europe would be seen by many as a European business. Sony America would be seen by many as an American business. So in fact it's the business placed geographically. So one of the reasons why is because there's better communications and because local needs are more easily addressed when the business is positioned locally. It can promote competition between the departments and the divisions of the company. It may be the case, particularly now in our more globalized world, where similar products are being produced, let's say in Europe and in Asia, but perhaps priced differently according to local requirements, local demands, and perhaps have different functionality as well. But you may find some importers importing from the Asian market into Europe. So we have competition between the brands. The same company's products are in competition in the marketplace. So it's quite possible to conceive of competition between the departments and between the divisions, and also to see who is doing better in terms of the overall corporate structure. Companies or a company based, let's say, in Europe might want to show better results than the company based in America or based in Asia or whatever. And of course, as I said earlier, there's better communications within the departments because they are local. It is difficult to trade globally in many respects because of time differences and because of language problems and cultural issues and so on. So having it done locally is more efficient. Now the disadvantages. Well, there could be a lack of cooperation between the various departments. It may be that Sony Europe sees itself as European, more European perhaps than, more emphasis on the European market than, say, Sony Asia. So its loyalty is to its customers, its workers, its wider stakeholders in Europe than it is perhaps to the requirements of its colleagues in Asia or in America. So there could be disagreements between the various departments simply because they have grown separate, they've grown away from each other. There's also, of course, a duplication of resources. That's obvious, that if they are essentially the same type of manufacturing or the same type of processing, they probably require the same resources. So the resources have to be duplicated or replicated depending how many sites it operates on. And the level of competition between the divisions of the company can be damaging. They can become very focused on each other and their performance and try to outdo each other, which may not be a good thing for the overall structure of the business. Because a particular division or a particular geographical area is doing well doesn't mean that it's to the advantage of the overall business. Perhaps control from the top will need to balance the different geographical areas and balance their efforts in those areas. Generally, it's difficult to control from the center. Management is difficult across wide geographical areas, and that is a big downside with this geographically based structure. It's difficult to visit the centers. It takes time and effort. Although communications are getting much better because of the internet and because of general improvements in communication technology, it's still a problem. It will always be a problem. Face-to-face in many business respects is the best way to go. So there may be difficulties in that case. So relatively straightforward topic, I think. Just looking at the advantages and disadvantages of having different centres, geographical centres, as production bases. And that concludes our talk on this subject. So thank you for watching.